I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, May the 29th, brought to you in part by Harvest Bank. They're more than just a bank, they're partners on the ground. They know about ranching and farming. They are agriculture financiers available in Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Kansas. They are pursuing agriculture finance, which is odd because a lot of them are running away from it. But find out why Harvest is one of the top ag lenders. Go to harvest.com/agriculture. Party foul. We're still reeling from the bogus report that come out on Tuesday about the screwworms being in Missouri, and it was totally false, and we figured that out and it's all gone. But we're still reeling from it a little bit. You know, this is another one of the hurdles that's been thrown in the way of this this rally, this all-time rally like we've never seen before. I mean, of late, probably the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've seen the packers just throw up their hands and say they're not giving any more for the cattle. That's all there is to it. They can't afford them. They're too high. And then the cattle feeders just said, okay, well, we won't sell any to you then. And then the packers gave in and then gave more for cattle again. We got through that little hurdle there, but the packers got back in line and started buying cattle again. We got through the technical hurdle where the key reversal come up with the way the board was showing and all the graphs and the lines and scribbles on the graphs and the way that the technical guys read them and all that kind of thing. That put a little hurdle in front of us. We got through that, but now we got this stupid, you know, false report to come out, advertised on a radio station website in rural Missouri, and it's going to take us down. Seriously, I don't know. The board didn't recover on Wednesday. Went down some more, pretty good. Went down more on feeder cattle on Wednesday than it did on Tuesday, but that report that come out on that website or radio website in Trenton, Missouri, there at KTTN, and it was only up for 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. It was up from there, and my friend Kurt Sporleader that owns Unionville Livestock Market and a part owner at Creston Livestock Market, he told me that he called them that morning while they were still taking calls. I had called him later in the day and nobody was available, but he advertises with that station. Talked to the station manager there. He did show remorse. He was very sorry about what happened. He did not understand the ramifications of what he had done, posting that spam type report. And if the Kurt Sporleader that I know made him fully aware of what he had done by the end of the conversation, and I can imagine how that went, but he felt bad about it. He in fact printed a retraction and put that out, put out the retraction, told everything about it. He actually received that from some outfit called the Cattle Coalition Corporation, which doesn't exist. But it's fully, in my mind, somebody did this on purpose. Some criminal did this on purpose. He knew what he was doing. He stand to gain. I'm saying he, it could have been a she, but stood to gain if the market went down, and I think would be fairly easy to pick out if we can get the CME to look into it. Now, some groups have said they're going to get to the bottom of it. I doubt they will, but I would give them all the hope in the world that something happens about it. But, you know, you put out that bogus report about there being screwworms in Missouri, and it was out for less than 5 minutes on a really unknown station's website, which had more to do with selling odds and ends from their listeners than anything else, and it did this much to the market. That's unbelievable. that it did that, but it happened. And even they had even the release of a real USDA report that come out on Wednesday saying that they're making progress on the screwworms in Mexico, and they've got a plan together, and Mexico is even being helpful in the deal and going, and everything's going to plan, and they're making some gains on that. Even that real USDA press release did not help the market. You would have thought the market went up, $7, but it didn't. But that's just how vulnerable this market is. The board wants this market to be lower. A lot of your speculators, your fund managers, those that play in the board heavily, they want the market to be lower. They think it's time for the market to be lower. They are pressing. They have never seen fundamentals like this in this market, or any commodity market really. They haven't seen the fundamentals so strong, so tough to beat down, and this supply and demand is just out of this world, guys. And your cash feeder cattle markets went right back up to where they were. They just ran over this report. They didn't pay any attention to it. These Wednesday markets were as good as any market that we had seen so far during this rally. But it's frustrating that that's all it takes to try to beat this thing down. And you look at your board on Wednesday, June live cattle down $1.20 at 213.92. August down $1.12 at 208.17. Your back months on live cattle down 87 to down 102. August feeder cattle down 252 at 295.62. Of course, that's about where your CME cash feeder cattle index is after all those direct sales that they get in that pull it down. September feeder cattle were down 277 at 294.47. And then your back months on feeder cattle were all down 247 to 282. Look at your grains. July corn down 8.5 cents a bushel at 4.51. July beans down 14 cents a bushel at 10.48.5. And hard red winter wheat for July up 3/4 cent at 5.25 1/4. You look at your fat cattle trade, and the only trade we saw on a direct basis out of your 5-area feeding region was actually in Kansas. Didn't see a hoof trade out of Iowa and Nebraska telling me they're dug in. They're going to use their big leverage to get more money out of this market this week. But in Kansas, they sold 200 head at 220, which was the top of last week's market. So can't blame them for selling if they needed to, but they're not digging in hard enough and trying to get more money for these cattle. Of course, Southern Plains is trading at a $10 or $11 discount to the Northern Plains. Texas didn't sell anything. Did have a fat cattle auction in Sioux Falls Regional Livestock Market in Worthing, South Dakota. They had 590 head on offer. Conventional fed cattle sell from 228 to 232. Now, they did say there was a lighter offering of fed cattle, of top quality fed cattle. They didn't have any loads, so nothing to really push the market, but it was still fully steady. Program cattle selling from 229 to 234. They had dairy cross fed cattle sell very impressively at 232 conventional and 233.50 to 234, just as high as the regular cattle on those dairy crosses. But Glacial Lakes Livestock in Watertown, South Dakota had a good fat cattle auction. They had 600 head on offer. Conventional cattle sell from 224 to 230, about $2 lower. Program cattle 229 to 234. That Holstein steers sell from 195 to 218, and big fat fed cows from 155 to 170. Box beef cutouts were higher, a bunch higher. Choice cuts were up 357 at 365.42. Selects were up 91 cents at 351.74. Your slaughter come in through the first 2 days of this slaughter week, just Tuesday and Wednesday, at 235,000 estimated cattle slaughter. You can't compare it to last week because it wasn't a holiday, but you can compare it to a year ago, which was a holiday, and we were 15,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about your South Dakota is having a big gala. The Stock Growers Association there is having the prime time gala, and if you want to get into that, they're giving away a 2025 Chevy Silverado 3/4 ton 4-wheel drive crew cab, just the kind of truck that you want. They're giving that truck away there. The raffle tickets are $100 a piece. Anybody can buy one. You don't have to be present to win, but they're going to draw that winner on June 21st at the gala event there in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Get you a ticket, get several tickets, get tickets for your friends at primetimegalaraffle.com. Also, a sale barn that has joined our broadcasting family here at DV Auction, and it's Three Creek Livestock Auction in Hugo, Oklahoma. They're going to have a sale Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning, their start time. They've, among other consignments there, they've got 70 running age cows, really nice cows. Over half of those cows will actually be pairs. Most of the rest of them will be bred. Get on to DV Auction and check out Hugo, Oklahoma sale barn, Three Creek Livestock. It's going to be on Friday and every Friday going forth, and let's help them out. Talk about what else is going on. Legacy Beef Cooperative. They're going into the 4th round of 5 rounds of investment. If you've been waiting to get in, don't wait any longer. Get in, join the co-op, and secure your place for $10 a head for your harvest on your cattle. And that's a pretty cheap get in there. But this co-op is going to own 20% of Cattlemen's Heritage Beef, the plant that is being constructed near Council Bluffs, Iowa. For more information, get a hold of James Timmerman at Legacy Beef Co-op. You can ask him about his cow-calf program that he's got going with that. And check out, again, if you haven't watched it, the video that I'm going to attach at the end of this report. Let's talk about your feeder cattle. Brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance, working to protect your livelihood. Your real-time index, after your sales had all concluded on Wednesday, was sitting at $299.54. It's going to prove me wrong. It's going back over $3. I'm sure of it. It was up $2.10 by late Wednesday there. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index is hanging back with all those lower directs of plainer cattle, and nobody checks on them, at $295.84. Going to tell you about a sale going to be at Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, North Dakota. They're going to have 2,000 head, and it's all going to be cow-calf pairs and feeders. You know, what else? That's what we need, cow-calf pairs and feeders, and they got a lot of them there. And Dickinson, North Dakota, check them out on DVAuction.com. Your big sales on Wednesday, OKC West in El Reno, Oklahoma had 7,800 head there. A good sale for them, and the market was sharply higher, guys. Just, it didn't pay no attention to that bogus report. Because, you know, those guys are in the real world, and they're in central Oklahoma. They know they still want feeders, and they want stocker cattle too. So your feeder cattle sold steady to $5 higher. They had replacement heifers there, and a good test of them. Don't always have those, and they were $7 to $11 higher. Your calves were $8 to $13 higher. And your biggest gain was on your heifer calves, they said that they had a lot of farmers and backgrounders in the market this week bidding on cattle to stock their pastures. How about Bassett Livestock in Bassett, Nebraska? 3,100 head for them. They hadn't had a sale for a while, so no good comparison, but they were your NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day. Check out this automated marker report from Cattle Market Central. Check out your best tested weights here. 449 head of 5-weight steers averaged 551 at 425.82. 449 of the 6-weight steers averaged 639 with a weighted average price of 388.08. 257 head of the 7-weight steers averaged 731 at 345.99, and 429 head of the 8-weight steers averaged 865 at 308.90. Now look at your heifers. 417 head of the 5-weight heifers averaged 543 at 379.86. 265 head of the 6-weight heifers averaged 636 at 345.04, and 156 head of 7-weight heifers in Bassett, Nebraska averaged 721 with a weighted average price of 314.19. Going to give you several individual quotes from all around. How about Bluegrass Stockyards in Campbellsville, Kentucky? They just amaze me week after week after week, or sale after sale. When they have multiple sales, they blew the roof off the place again. They had 64 head of 812-pound steers in Campbellsville, Kentucky, bring 308.50. Man, that's a big quote. How about Hub City Livestock in Aberdeen, South Dakota? They sell 66 steers, weigh 781 at 337.50. Now, North Arkansas Livestock in beautiful downtown Green Forest, Arkansas, sells 62 steers, weigh 758 in northern Arkansas at 319.50. But the most impressive quotes I saw anywhere on Wednesday, and your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Bassett, Nebraska. I'll give you two. I think the second one's the biggest to me, but 102 steers weigh 559 at 470. Wow. And then 54 steers weigh 615 at 407. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday. I'm Corbett Wall with this feeder flash feature. I'm going to be interviewing James Timmerman here with Legacy Beef Cooperative and Cattlemen's Heritage Beef. How are you doing, James?
Good. How are you doing, Corbett?
Now, this is the first time we've met, right?
That's correct.
But the Timmerman name is synonymous with top quality cattle feeding and top quality beef production, right?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell me a little bit about that and how it ties in with this new venture?
Yes. So my family is, like you said, in the cattle feeding, ranching business. All started with my grandfather in the mid-40s, moved to Omaha, Nebraska, and built a feed yard there to be closer to the stockyards. My dad and his brothers took over the family business and grew it in western Nebraska and eastern Colorado. And they themselves got involved in beef processing in the mid-90s. And so that family legacy really is expanded to two brothers and cousins who are in the cattle feeding business. And myself, I kind of chose a little different path and went into beef processing and was in the business for 25 years. And so it's kind of led me here to Legacy Beef Co-op.
So you got a lot of background in this industry. What drew you to Legacy Beef Cooperative and Cattlemen's Heritage Beef?
So I've heard about the project for the last few years and just got a little bit of information. We discussed the co-op model. I thought it was perfect for the industry at this time in kind of the development of beef processing. And so I really wanted to be part of the team, and kind of coincidence, they were needing some assistance with the co-op. And so then in October of 2024, I decided to join Legacy Beef and work on the project.
So last time we were interviewing Chad Tinninger, and you have become involved with him with this venture, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Now he has experience in this, and he was telling us about the efficiencies that he's put into this new plant. Do you see these efficiencies and how they're going to help the success of this plant in the long run?
I really do, because a lot of the plants now being developed in the last 4 or 5 years, the technology is really amplified to where it was, where there's a lot more robotics involved in the actual processing and the sorting of beef products, also in the storage, where it really helps reduce the labor needed for beef processing, which in turn, with labor being the biggest cost, reduce the cost and makes the plant much more efficient.
I see. James, can you give our audience just a kind of an overview of Legacy Beef Cooperative and Cattlemen's Heritage Beef, what we're talking about exactly?
Yes. So Legacy Beef Co-op is the co-op that producers will join and be members of. Cattlemen's Heritage is the beef processing plant being developed near Council Bluffs, Iowa. So the members of Legacy Beef will be equity members in Cattlemen's Heritage, and the equity we raise through the co-op, they will be 20% owners of Cattlemen's Heritage.
So what do you see valuable within the co-op model and eventually the Cattlemen's Heritage Beef plant?
What I like a lot about the co-op model is that it allows small to medium-sized cattle producers to be involved, one, in a co-op that helps them out in their operations. Plus, I think within the beef industry, I think we do need more producer involvement. So with this model, if you join the co-op and become a member of the co-op, you also have the opportunity to invest in Cattlemen's Heritage Beef as well. So you do have a little bit of equity into cattle and beef production.
So do you think ultimately this type of a model for the beef packing will help keep more smaller farmer feeders in business?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
And that's one thing that drew you to it.
That's really what draws me to it, is because I do think you hear a lot of stories being out in the country with small producers, anywhere from 2,500 head they feed to even up to 10,000, how they really are looking for better marketing opportunities and really more equitable arrangements compared to the larger feeders in the country.
Sure. Can you tell us a little bit about the investment model with Legacy Beef Cooperative and where we're at within that?
So the overall investment, we have 5 rounds of investment. Currently, we have sold through the first 2 rounds, so we're in the 3rd round. To what we are currently in right now is what we're calling our seed round, which is giving you the opportunity to reserve your space or shackle space in the investment in Cattlemen's Heritage. So right now, to reserve a spot is $10 per head. We'll reserve a spot in the co-op and you become a member of the co-op. The share price we're currently at in round 3 for the equity investment in Cattlemen's Heritage is $175 per share per shackle space.
Okay. And that's gone up from the first and second.
Correct.
Round,
So it was started at 125 for the first round, 150 for the second. So right now 175, and then round 4 is 200 and round 5 is 225.
Okay.
So there are advantages in getting in currently.
Right. So, but to reserve your spot, you need to be invested in one of the rounds at least, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, is there a maximum or a minimum of your spots that you can reserve?
The minimum would be, we say there's no minimum, but the best really is 1 load. So we do have members who are buying 40 shares just for 1 load a year.
Cattle.
Yes, and there is no maximum.
Okay. And that's annually. So if you bought 40, you could send 1 load of fed cattle into the Cattlemen's Heritage Beef plant.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, good. So you've got a key date coming up here this summer. Tell me about July 1st and what that's going to kick off.
That's correct, Corbett. On July 1st, we are really going to start the co-op on an operational basis. So we are going to start offering members marketing opportunities for the cattle that are part of the co-op. Also look at ways that we can help them on their purchasing power. And really what the goal with that co-op starting on July 1st is really to give the small to medium producers put them on the same level playing field as the big feed yards.
I see. So these shares, once you purchase them, they're going to have value, right? And will you be able to market them among other shareholders?
Yes. So really, the way we have it structured is that per share that you purchase, you are obligated to deliver the animal. Then if you feel like you cannot make the delivery, then you do have the ability to lease those shares out to other members of the co-op, that they can you can have some value owning these shares, and you can have cattle delivered on those shares.
We've seen something similar to this with U.S. premium beef in Kansas. So, and that those shares have become pretty valuable. Do you see that happening with this venture?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. What kind of cattle are we looking to harvest at Cattlemen's Heritage Beef? Do you have a target?
Currently, we don't have a specific target, but as most beef processors, we're looking for a high grade, high quality beef. But really, we're not going to specify exactly what we need to have delivered.
So, James, this whole venture has kind of been based off of marketing the cattle off of the dressed beef price rather than the live market or the way some of your big four packers price the cattle or purchase the cattle. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yes. So we are looking for the pricing the cattle is using the USDA choice market as the base, and plan on gridding the cattle with premiums and discounts based off USDA choice, which is different than buying them live or buying them just dressed beef.
Right. And the market's been really good, all-time record highs here posted within the last few months on every class of cattle that there is, but that's not going to last forever.
That's correct.
So
That's correct.
we may be able to insulate some of these producers from the downside of this going forward, don't you think?
Yes, yes. We feel like, really with the pricing model we have in place for the cattle, it really it gives protection because you're going to be paid what the plant is selling you beef for. So you really get the true value of your beef.
I see. So you're basically going to be sharing more of the pie than what cattle feeders are used to, the way things have been set up, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Great.
Yes.
So this is primarily set up for smaller feeders. Of course, a bigger feeder could get involved in it too. But how many cattle are we looking to harvest annually?
So annually, we're looking to harvest about 525,000 head annually. So 2,000 head a day on one shift per day.
So is that how many shares there's going to be put out then, is 525,000
That's correct.
annually?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so all of those cattle. So you won't be having to get short of cattle and be looking for them. You'll know that they're coming. How will you schedule the cattle in?
The way I look at it is that really once you know your cattle are ready to come in, you need to call us. We'll schedule based on really first come, first serve. If you call, we'll put up if we know the week your cattle are ready, we'll schedule them. But we also will probably need to go out on the market some in certain months, especially in the summer,
to fill some gaps.
To fill in some gaps.
I see. Okay. Now, you're also looking at producers further in the line to maybe fill some of these gaps, and you've got a cow-calf program, or a cow-calf producer program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So we are looking and visiting with cow-calf producers all throughout the country. And as you know, the market right now, they are selling their calves with a pretty good profit. But as we also know that the market there will be a downturn. So what we are really is targeting with cow-calf producers is that they become members of the co-op. They own the shares, so it really gives them a lot of flexibility based on the market. Either they can sell their calves like they currently are now, and then lease their shares out to the feeders who buy them. But then the cow-calf would still get benefits of ownership in terms of delivery fees and equity. But it gives them a little protection that if they want to retain ownership in their calves, they can feed them out and then have somewhere to go that will still give them a hedge and true value of what their carcasses are worth.
Right. So Legacy Beef Cooperative has pretty much all been set up to get the investment and get the core to get Cattlemen's Heritage Beef going, right?
Correct.
Okay. And do we have a time frame on Cattlemen's Heritage Beef when we think we would have that going and could start harvesting some cattle?
Currently, we are still scheduled to start groundbreaking towards the end of this year, which would really, it's a 2-year construction project, so probably the beginning of 2028. But as we explore market conditions, especially in the next few months, and look at heifer retention, we do also have the ability to delay a little bit and open when the market conditions seem more advantageous.
As tight as packer margins are right now, I wouldn't blame you by
Yes.
dragging your feet just a
No.
little bit. So might be better for the whole project if you do.
Yes, yes.
But it's just it's right on the horizon here. I mean, it'll be here before you know it.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. So of the 5 rounds of investment, we've made it through the first 2, and then we're working on the 3rd round. How much longer do you think it'll take to finish that up?
Well, our goal for the next round really is to have it completed by July 1st,
Okay.
and then move on to the next.
I see. So if we've got some listeners that are interested in investing into Legacy Beef Cooperative, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you guys and see what they want to do?
Well, the best way to get a hold of us is go to our website, which is www.legacybeefcoop.com, and there is a submission form where you can send us your information. You can email me directly at james@legacybeefcoop.com, or call me at 531-375-6559.
Well, we're moving right along on this Legacy Beef Cooperative investment, and it won't be long before we're going to have groundbreaking on this Cattlemen's Heritage Beef plant. It's an exciting new venture, the efficiencies we've talked about, and it was great to get to talk to you and learn more about this project.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad I could share it with you.
Until next time, I'm Corbett Wall with this Feeder Flash feature.